Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Karens. In today's episode, Karen secretly films me jogging and shows video to my boss. Karen purposely bumps into me instead of going around. Experienced a Karen yesterday. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Karen secretly films me jogging and shows video to my boss. I recently had an emergency appendectomy, and recovery has been slow. I had to take time off from my own athletics, but worse, from coaching in the kids' sports program I'm involved with. The experience made me step back and realize I really built my whole identity around being active and healthy, so the hit my physical abilities took as a result of being sick plus the healing process has made me feel lost. I've been working to regain the joy I used to experience from exercise, without going, "Oh, you used to be so much faster with that," or "your technique used to be so much stronger," or "you don't fit in anymore," or whatever else, and just enjoy myself regardless of the level I'm at. But ironically, the anxiety about not being able to do what I used to has made regaining those abilities difficult. It made me self-conscious about exercising in public spaces, but I was starting to finally get over it as friends convinced me the source of the concerns were all in my head. There's no way to get back to it other than training, so despite the anxiety I started running again, as soon as the doctors approved it. I went to the local track and just did a few slow laps each morning, building up speed every few days, and I've only just been authorized to add some sprints and body weight strength training to the mix. Occasionally there were other people at the track, but I didn't really notice because I run with headphones on and try to zone out in these lighter sessions. But little did I know my friends were wrong. It was not all in my head, I was being watched, and more than that, I was being judged. My absolute catastrophe level worst nightmare at this stage of building back my strength and speed. On Friday, I was setting up for practice at the kids program and the head coach asked me into his office because a parent had a complaint. A parent I didn't know too well, Karen, was there and he said she had specific complaints about me. The meeting almost didn't happen because of Karen's initial refusal to put on a mask, required in our facilities for now, but eventually her desire to tell on me for whatever she thought she had me on overrode her freedoms to infect everyone. I was a bit nervous, as anyone is being called to meet with their boss over a complaint, but I figured it was a classic case of my kid should start more, or I know my kid tried out as a midfielder but I want her to switch to defense, that kind of rules don't apply to me thing. But instead, I sit down in the office, and Karen is playing my boss a video of me running on the track that she filmed from afar. It's surrounded by stadium-style risers. I was horrified, both because no one is ever totally used to seeing themselves on video, and because I was just embarrassed about how slow I was. But most importantly, because why was a virtual stranger, I'd met her personally maybe 4 times, ever, filming me while I ran on my own time at a private facility. She then went on to explain that her 8-year-old son, one of the players on my squad, was lapping me in the video and insisting the coaches need to hold themselves to higher athletic standards than the young players if they want to prepare them for college teams. Again, her son is 8. Apparently her son would sometimes be running on the track while her older child was practicing on a nearby field. I never noticed, the kid is still relatively new, and I don't pay much attention to the other people on the track. My boss patiently but firmly explained to Karen that my physical abilities are not the parents' concern and all personnel are closely managed by the head coaches who understand each unique situation and what's appropriate, and that her son wouldn't be impacted. Karen then went on to say my being out of shape was probably connected to why I'd been taking so much time off lately. Technically yes, it is because I was in the hospital. And complaining that the personnel changeover isn't good for the kids. My boss again reiterated that the head coaches hadn't changed or taken any time off and that I was still one of the most skilled in the area I instruct, so this was not her concern. She asked if there was someone else she could speak to, but he explained that he was the owner and founder of this program, so no, there was not. I knew my boss was intentionally avoiding saying what had happened to me or even alluding to a health issue to protect my privacy, but I figured maybe being transparent with her would show her how ridiculous she was being and keep her tuition dollars in our program during a difficult time for sports clubs. But when I explained, she just turned to the boss and said, "Well, maybe you should furlough her until she's healed and bring on a healthy coach in the meantime, because my son needs someone out there who can keep up with him." My boss respected what I was trying to do but made clear we weren't going further with that strategy to avoid setting a precedent of sharing coach's personal circumstances. Telling her why people take time off or what their health status may be is not her concern because the program manages that and makes appropriate decisions. She kept kicking up a fuss, but the coach finally told her he had to get back out on the field, back to her son and everyone else's kids. She started physically leaving, but continued fussing about how she was not satisfied and would not be recommending us to other parents. Pro tip: not the way to conduct yourself with the people who make recommendations to scouts concerning family culture/team interaction. The coach wasn't preparing to leave, instead he stopped her in her tracks to tell her if she was found to be surveilling or otherwise harassing any staff members again, she would be permabanned from the program. No games or practices, no team social events, no presence in our buildings, and no clemency. So, that was pretty satisfying. Her son is a good, average kid, and I'm glad the consequences were focused on booting her out rather than limiting his opportunities to have fun playing. So then we went out and had a great, happy, safe practice. This was still a pretty upsetting event for me personally though, and I'll never unsee that discouraging video of me running, but it was ultimately reassuring to know the other staff have my back. Leaving Karen in the dust is just another step on my road to recovery. I love how your boss really got your back. Hopefully Karen isn't gonna be a setback to your recovery. Thank you. It was a jolt, but working to put it in the past as quick as possible. Writing it all out definitely helped, and comments like yours even more so thanks again. I'm confused why the boss even brought it up to Opie. Sounded to me like the whole situation was going nowhere with the boss, so there is no reason to bring her into the office. I know we don't have all the details, but I would have just refunded Karen and asked her to leave. And, did Karen expect Michael Phelps' coach could do laps around him? What does one's own physical ability have to do with teaching a sport? Andy Reid has gone to many Super Bowls and I'd be hard-pressed to see him run even a lap. Wow, what a psycho. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Your boss handled that really well. As a business owner myself, sometimes you have to fire customers/clients, and this is absolutely one of those situations. When I first opened my small biz retail store, I got told off by an angry mom who got upset when I told her that I couldn't have her kids in my after-school art class if the kids were going to get pulled out early every week. They would get upset and cry and beg to stay and finish their projects. I remember someone saying to me something along the lines of, if she acts like that to a stranger, imagine how she treats other people who know her. When customers threaten telling other people I suck, I remember that I don't, and hope that good people won't take this obnoxious person seriously. Anyway, keep up the good healing work. Karen is a monster. Follow your recovery plan and doctor advice. I know recovery is always slower than most athletic types want it to be. You don't want to set yourself back by pushing too hard and getting another injury. Piggybacking this comment, this is also a great opportunity for young athletes to learn how to properly recover and retrain after an injury/illness/surgery. How to come back in a proper way that doesn't hurt them, not exacerbate a healing injury, and treat their bodies well for them, not simply a sport. I pushed myself really hard in HS and college for soccer, and my back injury from then still affects me today, 20 years later. What an awful woman she was, and she was filming you as you were trying to get back to health after your operation. Very creepy behavior. One wonders if she films the people participating in the sports. I am very glad your boss backed you up with this obnoxious person. I hope she behaves herself and doesn't interfere anymore. You can actually use your story to inspire the kids though. You have just been through surgery and you are up and running again, never giving up. I am seriously clapping for you because I hurt my big toe once and refused to get up for a full week. though a funny thought came to my mind. Go on like Etsy or whatever crafting website you can find and have a huge pin made to put on your clothing that says something like I got traumatic surgery X month ago and ran X meters or km or miles today. What's your excuse? But again, I'm a bit of a in-your-face type person and I understand that this would also not be professional. Not saying to do it either, just a picture I had in mind. Someone tell Andy Reid that he needs to be able to lap his players to be an effective coach. Seriously. I coach high school tennis, granted, it's a small-town public high school in America, and every single one of my players is in better shape than me, but I could easily beat any of them. Christ, I had a similar operation and I couldn't do much exercise until about 6 months in and gained a bunch of weight. I know how bad it feels to lose all your fitness/self-confidence, so all credit to you for getting back into exercising outside so quickly and so well. You keep going and ignore those petulant excuses for adults. My boyfriend trained for a half marathon and ran it. A week later he had to have an emergency appendectomy as well. So much of his progress disappeared. It can be so disheartening waiting for that recovery process. That psycho had no right to talk to you like that. Karen purposely bumps into me instead of going around. This literally just happened to me not more than 40 minutes ago. Today, I'm having a bit of a crappy day, but I'm trying to cope and feel better by being productive. So I'm off to my bank. It's my lucky day and they are open way late and I need to get some paperwork done ASAP. I get to a street corner and I'm close the edge off to the side, making sure I'm not in the way of anyone who's using the sidewalk nor in standing in the way of anyone wanting to cross too. I've got some feel-good music pumping in my ears and I'm on my phone and not wholly paying attention, admittedly. But I know for a fact I'm not being a nuisance and not blocking anyone. I'm just tuning the world out while I wait for the light. All of a sudden, I feel this bump on my leg. I turn around and there's this old lady with a dolly loaded with some bags, some empty water jugs, you know those big ones at water coolers, and some other stuff. Can't remember what else, not important though. What is important is that this lady was standing there, staring expectantly at me. I take a headphone out asking, "Can I help you?" Karen, word for word, you should be careful and take your headphones out. Me, thinking to myself, okay, fair I guess? It's a sketchy-ish part of the neighborhood. Weird why she's preoccupied with my safety though? Me, out loud to Karen, I'm fine. Thank you for the concern, but I can handle myself. Karen interrupts me before I'm even done speaking, and this is when I know she's a Karen. Karen, visibly irritated, well, you can't hear anything. I tried so many times to get your attention and get you to move. Me, looking confusedly at the very wide expanse of sidewalk she still has available to her, easily double the width of her dolly. Ma'am, you didn't have to bump me. You could have just gone around me. Should note here that even if she had a problematic, hard-to-turn dolly, she had more than enough room to make a very wide turn without hitting me. Karen huffs, I didn't want to have to move around you. That did it. I snapped a bit. Me, so you thought to bother me? What the hell? Lady, you have so much space on the sidewalk. Karen, even more irate now, well, you couldn't hear anything. Me, in my head, no shit, it's because I don't want to interact with harpies like you. Thankfully the light changes and I just roll my eyes and walk off. I yell back over my shoulder, lady, you have problems. She says something completely unintelligible at me and smoothly turns her dolly up the sidewalk. Like, what the actual hell? Definitely no problems turning. She could have saved both her and I the whole interaction. Why the hell are people so stupid? Some people believe the world revolves around them and everyone else is in the way. Karen huffs, I didn't want to have to move around you. Why don't you hire a personal shopper and you don't even have to come out of your cave either? Foo. I love that. XD, I wish I'd thought of something as savage as that. Lady did this to me in Whole Foods. Purposefully, repeatedly ramming her cart into me physically. Having a bad day, I yelled "excuse you." And when she grumbled and went to do it again, I grabbed her stupid little cart, her weapon of choice, out of her hands and yanked it past me. Since she was in such a hurry to go that way. Finding herself now robbed of support but not her momentum, she was falling towards me. In one swift motion, as I pulled her cart away, I stepped sideways and past her. I just kept on walking right out of the store. Ignoring the commotion behind me, I decided I didn't want the craft root beer after all. Experienced a Karen yesterday. My manager and I were talking and cleaning yesterday, just doing our usual closing activities, when a coworker comes over our radio and says, "That lady was mad." Obviously concerned, we were like, "Why, what's up?" And apparently the customer made it a point to come up to my coworker to tell her that we needed to stop gossiping and that she would be coming back tomorrow to shop because we were too distracting. Little does she know that same manager who was gossiping is closing tomorrow night as well. Also, we were talking about me potentially getting a promotion for context. Kind of boring, but it makes me laugh just thinking about it. So you gossip some more here, eh? Karen, your opinion is pointless and we don't welcome your custom. Hope the door hits you on the way out. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.